injuries first of all. Vince Leah, what's the latest on his potential availability for the next little while?
He'll be out for 6 to 8 weeks, grade 2 hamstring tear, so it's not good for Vince, but everyone else has pulled up pretty well.
Also, how big a loss is that? Because he's been a pretty crucial cog in your first 4 games, hasn't he?
He's been playing really good football. He's had a good pre-season, just a little bit unlucky with his hamstring. But season 1, I remember we lost Revera and we collapsed in a heap. Now we've got Alex Rodriguez to step in. We've got Rufa, we've got Redenton, so I think we'll cover it really well.
In terms of the Central Coast Mariners game, actually before I talk about that, the Melbourne victory game, anything else come out of that was a concern for you? Not injury-wise necessarily, but the fact that you went down 3-0 over there?
Always remember my policy is to keep having a go, so we could have shut the shop after 1-0, but we weren't going to play that way. The first 3 games of the season have told me that we can be a finals team. They've said, those 3 games have said we can be a finals team. The game against Victory has really told me that we're not going to be any good in the finals until we're able to compete at that level. And we were beaten really well in the second half. It was the second goal that killed us, but in the first half I was really impressed with our players. We played good football all the way through the first half. I think we had 3 one-on-ones with the goalkeeper. We didn't put it away. I don't think we've got enough players in our team that want to score goals. Roy at the moment is the only player that's absolutely determined to score goals, and he had a wonderful game. We've got to get more players with his attitude, but the build-up, there were some lapses in defence, but we're playing against a pretty good team away from home, and if you're going to lose to the champions away from home is the time to lose, as long as you learn a lesson from it. But right up until the second goal, I thought we played some really good football and pushed right to the end.
How do you fire up that desire amongst your front guys to want to get the ball in the back of the net?
Well, it really comes down to their motivation, what they want to achieve. If they genuinely want to achieve something in the final, get in the finals and achieve something in the finals, that attitude regarding goal scoring has to change, because a goal changes the whole game. And in many ways they caught us on the counter for the first one, but we could have caught them 2 or 3 times before that, and maybe an unlucky penalty call. But when I looked at it again, it wasn't a penalty. Roy's really got to put his body in between the player and the ball, so he has to be fouled, but we're just a wee bit too honest, and he just went for the ball rather than just cut off the defender, and then he was right through on the goalkeeper. And as I say, Vukovic made a couple of one-handed saves by coming around Roy, but overall, a good first half performance, a poor second half performance, but it tells us closely, it gives us a real good look at where we're at.
Do you think that goal scoring is the one thing that you need to improve to go from a finals team to a competitive finals team?
That's the major thing, but there's other areas we have to get right. Competition to win the ball in the tough 50-50 situations. We've certainly got players like Zygmunt, Durante and Muscat can do that. We've got to have more players on that competitive one-on-one. I thought it was pretty rough, Roy getting a yellow card on his first shoulder charge. It wasn't even a tackle, and they know how to win the ball and win it fairly, but be a lot more competitive. We've got to learn how to do that.
Do you coach that conviction, or how is that?
You can only make them aware of it and discuss it and point out logical processes to go through to make sure you're determined to achieve what you want to achieve. The bottom line is on the pitch. You can't let the way the game's going, the momentum, the crowd, the environment affect you. Yes, I think you can work on it at training. I think you can make them aware of it in videos and in discussion. Bottom line, they've got to produce it when it counts.
If you look at the midfield, Ernie, you're talking about Alex Rodriguez. What does he bring in that?
He's enormous energy. He can attack and defend. He'll probably go more to a sort of in-between type player, box-to-box type player like Rowley. And Albert will switch into Vince's position, but don't tell the Mariners this week, please. But I think we're ready made. We've been planning for this for a couple of years, having good depth in our midfield, and Redenton was outstanding again at training, so was Alex Rufer. So I'm not concerned about the midfield at all. It's really, as I say, it's about goal scoring, and it's about tightening up a little bit at the back, but it's not often our back line. It's usually the defensive midfield role.
Sorry, Kathy.
Oh, sorry.
The Mariners haven't had a great start to the season. Do you regard them as a dangerous opponent at Gosford?
Yes, they'll come out to score goals, they'll come out and attack, and when a team scores a goal, they're dangerous. and we've been getting used to the fact that away from home we've conceded a goal early and then come back over the top of teams, and that's what we've got to continue to do. So once again, we're really focused on how we play. Any team in this league can take points from any other. Newcastle took points, all 3 points from the victory. So it's a competitive league. We've had 3 very good games and then a good half a game and really an average second half, so we've got to pick up from that.
Look at the midfield, Caceres, creative players like that. How important is it to shut those guys down?
Every team has a number 10 type player who's creative in behind the strikers, who can set up the strikers and get into goal scoring positions. We've got one, Michael McGlinchey, and he's been doing a great job. A couple of times completely free, didn't get the ball in the box, so we've got to make sure we deliver the ball to him as well, and he's now become a finisher as well as someone that can set up other players. But that type of players in every team.
Cool. Just a question from Andrew Gordy. What do you feel the Phoenix contribute to New Zealand football?
We haven't got long enough to answer that question, but I think without a professional team in this league, in the A-League, I think it would be very difficult for youngsters in New Zealand to progress through the ranks and become full-time professionals and represent their country and maybe go overseas. If you look at the players that have done very well, Barbarouses and Rojas, they come through this team. The number of under-17s, under-20s and Olympic players that come through the Phoenix is, I mean, it's pretty obvious that without this team, I think it would be very tough for New Zealand youngsters to go all the way. And remember, if a young player from New Zealand wants to play for an A-League team other than ourselves, they're a visa player. How many A-League clubs are going to sign a young up-and-coming player like a Redenton or a Roofer? So a lot of these players would miss out on full-time professionalism, and they would go the age-old route via the USA and scholarships, and very few ever come out of that, and not many make it overseas compared with the number that try. We're a crucial part of the development of players in this country.
In Melbourne, do you think there was any hang-up of all the palaver that was going on off the field from the week before?
I've never felt that way at all, right from day one that this has occurred from 9 months ago. We've focused on our performance on the field. Our first 3 games proved that that's what our focus is, and I think that's a very convenient excuse for some, but it won't be used by our players or myself.